Hello there. I am Brian Walsh from Allegro Marketing Print and Mail, also with Latip Professional Networkers. And I am here with fellow chapter member Natalie Kaiser from Lavelle Law. So why don't you just give us a little introduction about who you are?
Sure. Hi, Brian. Natalie Kaiser. I'm an attorney with Lavelle Law. My focus is business and commercial litigation as well as business law. And I join Brian every week on Latip Professional Networkers to basically share some ideas about our business and share information about what we're doing and kind of really network and grow our reach in the market.
Yep. And if you're wondering, if you're watching on the Basket Brigade page, we do want to, of course, showcase our generous sponsors. And Lavelle has been a sponsor of Basket Brigade since our very first Basket Brigade. So we do want to kind of spread the message about what they do and see if any of our Basket Brigade family might be able to give a little back to Lavelle Law, who gives a whole bunch back to Basket Brigade every year. So what Natalie was talking about today under her purview of business law are partnership agreements and otherwise known as buy-sell agreements. So why don't you kind of tell us what those are?
Sure. So my focus today was about buy-sell agreements, and basically, most business owners, when they start their business, they hit the ground running. They get insurance, they get their business cards with Brian, and they take care of, how their face to the market and check all those boxes. But very often we find they forget to focus on, hey, what about my exit from this business? What kind of legacy do I want to leave? How do I ultimately want to depart from this business? And a buy-sell agreement is a very important tool for the business owner because it lays out the terms and the method by which that partner will ultimately depart from that business. So in its simplest form, a buy-sell agreement is an agreement among the shareholders of a closely held business. It's usually part of an operating agreement or part of a shareholder agreement. And it basically sets the terms of how that partner can make a permanent transfer of his interest, or when he ultimately departs, how will his share of the business be managed or handled?
Right. And one of the things that you had mentioned was specifically spouses, because that always becomes an issue that, let's say you got three guys who are partners, they're all handyman, and all of a sudden wife comes in and is not a handyman. So you want to make sure that wife does not try to change things and things like that.
Right, exactly. So a buy-sell agreement is a way to kind of avoid that from happening. So you start your business, you and maybe two of your best friends, and you guys are really involved. You're all married, but your spouses are not a part of the business. They're not engaged in the day-to-day. When that unfortunate time comes with one of those partners passing, without a buy-sell agreement, his estate would be in receipt of his interest in that business. If you have a buy-sell agreement, you can restrict that transfer from happening. So it can restrict the terms by which that partner's interest can transfer to another individual. So it kind of avoids that discussion where you might have a spouse inheriting that partner's share in the business that really has no interest or no involvement in that business. A buy-sell agreement avoids that. It sets out upfront what the terms are. And if you structure it right, you can fund that transaction with a life insurance policy. So the way that works is basically there's three types of agreements we usually see that are most common, whether it's a redemption, a cross-purchase agreement, or a hybrid of the two. And those are all fancy words for saying a redemption agreement is you have a life insurance policy that funds the transaction, allowing the business entity to buy back that deceased partner's share of the business. So basically that business entity pays out his share and then recollects it so that part or that interest isn't then taken up by his estate or his heir.
Right.
A cross purchase is basically the same idea, but instead of the business entity buying the share back, it's the other partners. They buy out that missing partner share. And a hybrid works between the two, allowing a little bit more flexibility.
So one of the terms I've always heard is like key man life insurance. Is that something similar to part of that, or?
Yeah, I mean, ultimately what you're looking for is a life insurance policy. It can be with any service provider that you work with. But that life insurance policy would then be tied to the life of the partner that we're talking about whose interest it is. So if I'm preparing my buy-sell agreement and I have one other partner, I'll have a life insurance policy in my life. My partner will have a life insurance policy in his life, and those will be the policies that fund our purchase or our transaction out.
So it's not necessarily just what the business is worth or has in the bank in that regard.
Right, and that brings up a good point. So with a buy-sell agreement, they are governed by law, and there's a lot of different requirements, not too many, but about 4 requirements that make them basically valid. The price has to be fixed. That's one key requirement. It has to be binding and enforceable on all the parties. And it cannot be a testamentary instrument. And it has to be an arm's length transaction, meaning comparable to other agreements in a similar form. So, but to your point, the price has to be fixed. So basically, you're looking at setting an actual fair market valuation for the interest in that business.
Right. And I know valuations are a whole other conversation on how you establish what the value of a company is. So we're not even going to bother getting into that. But
right.
I gotta say, I don't even know what a testamentary something is.
That's what we're talking about, basically what you are expecting on your death. So testamentary meaning on your last days. It speaks to estate plans and in a different realm of law. But yes, to your point, it does have to be a fixed out price. It does have some requirements to be valid and enforceable. And the goal is to make the terms clear, simple, so that when you do ultimately exit, there is no question. It's an already difficult time. A partner has passed away. You don't want to add more complexity to that time, the grieving. Get this taken care of and put to bed so you don't have to think about it again.
Right. Yeah. And I think especially coming out of the COVID year where so many people had lost their jobs and are starting their own companies, I think it's the timing is perfect. So what type of business or person would be like ideal to sit down and talk with you and just say, hey, what do we do? And kind of what does that process look like?
Sure. So really the wonderful thing is planning, it's never too late. So if you are a small business owner who is just starting, you haven't even done your articles of incorporation yet, come talk to us. We can definitely take care of that piece for you and also bring up this discussion about with you and your partners, or what does an exit look like for you? Or if you're an established business, you've been in business for some years now, and you want to go back into your vault and dust off that old operating agreement you formed in the 90s, come talk to us. We can update that, make sure it's relevant, reliable, and make sure we can amend it to have that buy-sell agreement in place for you and your current partners. So really, at all stages of the business life, there are remedies to address this issue, and just come talk to us.
Yeah, and I know everything we've talked about has been about partners, but even if you're a solo operator, whether you're incorporated or not, it is good to get all of that stuff reviewed and looked at, especially if you're not. You obviously want to protect yourself so that you've got that veil of protection so people can't sue you directly and all that kind of stuff.
Definitely. And on that note, if you are a sole business owner, but you have employees and you want to look at maybe it's not a legacy you want to leave to your family, but to employees, another option we can talk about is ESOPs, employee-owned interest in the business, where you go doing that kind of succession planning. There are so many ways you can take this, but yes, for any kind of situation that you're in, LLC, incorporated, sole proprietor, it's important to think about your exit.
For sure. Okay. All right. So is there anything else you wanted to say? I know personally, I've been using Lavelle Law forever. In my business, our nonprofit, they actually do the all the books and stuff for Basket Brigade. They actually donated that when we first opened up. So I use them personally, professionally, charitably. So I'm a very big advocate of you guys. So is there anything else you want to say kind of just about Lavelle?
Sure. I mean, Lavelle is a very well-known name in the suburbs in West Chicago. We're an all-practice firm. My focus is in business and commercial litigation, but again, we're all-practice firm. So we have the big law firm feel, but we're still very involved and committed to our community because we're still about 35 attorneys. So it's a great law firm, and think of us.
Sure. All right, and then as far as LaTip goes, if you are interested in joining Natalie and myself and about another 15, 16 other business owners and entrepreneurs, we meet every Tuesday morning, currently via Zoom. Eventually, we go back in person. We've been meeting in Hoffman Estates, but if you wanted to attend a meeting, let either one of us know, and we will get you the information. So thank you, Natalie.
Thank you, Brian. Great to see you.
You too.